I woke up next to a stranger who claims we've been married for 5 years. The sunlight hit my eyes like a hammer. Groaning, I rolled over, trying to bury my face deeper into the pillow. My head throbbed, a familiar aftermath of a few too many beers the night before. But then I felt it. A warm, soft weight pressed against my back. A long, dark strand of hair tickled my nose. My eyes snapped open. I wasn't alone. I woke up next to a stranger who claims we've been married for 5 years. My heart launched itself into my throat. Who was this? I was Michael Hayes, 32, a freelance graphic designer. My apartment was a modest one-bedroom in downtown Chicago. I lived alone. Always had. I hadn't brought anyone home last night. My last memory was leaving Liam's bar around midnight after a couple of celebratory pints with my best friend, David Chen, 32, who was in town for a conference. There was no way I'd forgotten bringing someone back. I wasn't that drunk. Carefully, slowly, I turned. Lying next to me was a woman. She was beautiful, with long, dark hair fanned out on the pillow, and a soft, gentle face. She looked about my age, maybe 30. She was clearly comfortable, nestled into my side of the bed, breathing evenly. A stranger. In my bed. Panic flared. Had I been drugged? Robbed? I quickly scanned the room. Nothing seemed out of place. My wallet was on my nightstand, phone next to it, keys hanging on the hook by the door. Everything was as it should be, except for the stunning woman beside me. Then, her eyes fluttered open. They were a startling shade of green. She blinked, a soft smile spreading across her lips. Morning, sleepyhead, she murmured, her voice raspy with sleep, but undeniably familiar. Too familiar. She reached out, her hand gently brushing my cheek. There was a faint gold band on her ring finger. A wedding band. My gaze darted to my own left hand. And there it was, a matching gold band, glinting on my finger. My blood ran cold. I never wore rings. I wasn't married. I had never even been engaged. What is going on? I managed to croak, my voice barely a whisper. She frowned, a playful smirk touching her lips. Rough night, huh, babe. More than 2 beers with David always hits you hard. You even forgot who I am. She chuckled, a warm, melodic sound that somehow both soothed and terrified me. It's Sophia, your wife, and we've been married for 5 years. Sophia, my wife. 5 years. The words hit me like physical blows. My entire world, my entire reality, spun out of control. I didn't know this woman. And yet, she knew my name, my friend's name, even my drinking habits. This wasn't a stranger I'd just picked up. This was a stranger who claimed a shared history that simply did not exist in my memory. I scrambled out of bed, pulling on the nearest pair of sweatpants. She watched me, a puzzled frown now replacing her playful expression. You okay, Michael? You're acting really weird. Weird. I was beyond weird. I was in a nightmare. I looked around the bedroom. It was similar to mine, but not quite. The furniture was different, softer, more elegant. There were framed photos on the dresser. I walked closer, my heart pounding. Pictures of us, of me and Sophia, laughing, holding hands, kissing. On vacations I'd never been on. At events I'd never attended. One photo, clearly a wedding picture, showed us, radiant and happy, exchanging rings. My suit was slightly different, her dress was absolutely stunning, but it was undeniably us. I stumbled out of the bedroom and into the living room. It wasn't my apartment, not really. It was larger, brighter, filled with furniture I didn't own. A large, framed canvas print of a city skyline hung over the sofa, a print I definitely hadn't bought. There was a dog bed in the corner, with a half-eaten chew toy. I didn't have a dog. Sophia walked in, wrapped in a silk robe, her green eyes filled with concern. Michael, you're scaring me. What's wrong? This isn't my apartment, I blurted out, my voice high with panic. And I don't know who you are. I'm not married. Her face went pale. She walked over to me, reaching out. I flinched, pulling back. Michael, stop it. This isn't funny. It's our apartment. We bought it 3 years ago. We renovated the kitchen last fall. And I'm your wife, Sophia. We've been married for 5 years, remember? Our anniversary is in October. Her voice was soft, pleading, but also laced with a growing fear. She pointed to a small, framed photo on the mantelpiece. It was a picture of me, much younger, probably in my early 20s, holding a graduation cap. Next to it, another photo of me and Sophia, smiling broadly, holding what looked like house keys. That's you at your college graduation. And that's us when we got the keys to this place. This is real, Michael. All of it. I looked at my reflection in the window. My face was mine, my features, my scar above my eyebrow from a childhood bike accident. But something felt off. My hair was slightly longer, my jawline a little softer, as if a few pounds lighter. I felt like I was looking at a slightly different version of myself. My memories were clear. I remembered yesterday, leaving Liam's, saying goodbye to David. I remembered David telling me he was flying back to LA tomorrow. I remembered my current design project, a logo for a new coffee shop downtown. I remembered my lease on my apartment ending in 3 months. All of it was sharp, vivid. But everything she was saying, everything I was seeing in this apartment, was utterly blank. 5 years of my life, completely missing. I ran to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face. The products on the sink weren't mine. There was a shared toothbrush holder, her perfume, her hairbrush, a small, framed quote on the wall, "Love is the bridge between two hearts." A quote I'd never heard before. Sophia followed me, her eyes red-rimmed now. Are you sick? Should I call a doctor? Or David? Don't call anyone. I snapped, then immediately regretted it. Her face crumpled. I don't know what's happening. I remember everything up to last night. But nothing about you, nothing about us, this apartment, the ring, it's all new. She slowly reached for her phone, her fingers trembling. I'm calling your doctor, she said, her voice firm, despite the tears in her eyes. Dr. Adams, maybe it's a concussion, or amnesia. Dr. Adams, I didn't have a drive. Adams, my doctor was Dr. Chen, over on Elm Street. This was getting more and more terrifying. While Sophia was on the phone, her voice hushed and worried, I grabbed my own phone. My usual lock screen was still there, but when I unlocked it, the wallpaper was a picture of me and Sophia. My apps were arranged differently. My calendar was full of joint appointments, anniversaries, dinner plans with people I didn't recognize. I opened my social media. Facebook. My profile picture was me and Sophia. My recent posts were about our trip to Italy, our new kitchen, our dog, Buster. I scrolled back, trying to find a point of divergence. My last post I remembered was a work project from last week. But this timeline had posts going back years, showing a life, my life, intricately woven with Sophia's. There were pictures of our wedding. All my friends, David included, were tagged in the photos, commenting, congratulating. They were all there, witnessing a marriage I had no memory of. David Chen. I scrolled through my contacts. His number was there, but when I called it, a voice answered, hello. You've reached David's old number. He moved to Seattle 2 years ago. Panic truly set in. My best friend, my rock, was apparently living across the country. And in my reality, he was supposed to be in town for a conference, flying back tomorrow. This wasn't amnesia. This wasn't a prank. This was something else. A parallel universe. A glitch in the matrix. My logical mind, the one that built graphic designs with precise algorithms, was utterly broken. Sophia insisted on taking me to the emergency room. I resisted, terrified of what they might find, or what I might be told. But she was firm, her eyes pleading. Please, Michael, we need to figure this out. You're scaring me, and I love you. That word, love, it felt like a punch to the gut. I looked at her, truly looked at her. Her concern was genuine. Her pain was real. She believed everything she was saying. And the memories, though not mine, were clearly hers. At the hospital, they ran tests. Blood work, MRI, neurological exams. Everything came back normal. The doctors were baffled. Dr. Adams, a kind, older neurologist, cautiously suggested a rare form of dissociative amnesia, perhaps triggered by extreme stress, though he admitted he'd never seen such a complete wipe of 5 years of personal history. Sophia stayed by my side the whole time, holding my hand, her presence a bizarre comfort amidst the chaos. She kept whispering memories to me, trying to jog something. Remember our first date at the jazz club? You spilled wine on my dress. Remember when Buster ate your favorite slipper? Each anecdote was a tiny, alien puzzle piece. My parents arrived. Mark and Linda Hayes, both in their late 50s. They rushed in, their faces etched with worry. Michael, what happened? Mark hugged me tightly. Linda stroked my hair. They looked like my parents, sounded like my parents. But a subtle difference in their clothes, in the way they carried themselves, made them feel slightly off-kilter, like actors playing a role. They talked about Thanksgiving last year at our new house in the suburbs. My parents lived in Boston, and had never owned a house in Chicago. They talked about Sophia, about how wonderful she was, how perfect we were together. It was overwhelming. I was trapped in a life that was both intimately mine and terrifyingly alien. Over the next few days, Sophia patiently walked me through our life. She showed me photo albums, videos on her phone. She took me to places we supposedly loved. Our favorite coffee shop, the dog park where Buster played, the little Italian restaurant where we had our first anniversary dinner. Each place was a blank slate to me, yet the people there, the baristas, the waiters, greeted me by name, treated me like a regular. They all knew me. They knew us. I learned about this other Michael Hayes. He was still a graphic designer, but he worked for a big firm, not freelance. He was more settled, more outwardly confident. He had a dog, a mortgage, a wife. A full, rich life. A life I had no memory of. Sophia was incredible. She was patient, understanding, heartbroken but determined. She never once lost her temper, never accused me of faking it. She truly believed I had lost my memory, and she was going to help me get it back. Her devotion was palpable, and a part of me, the lost, confused part, felt drawn to it, to her. She truly loved me, this version of me. I searched online for my original life. My actual LinkedIn profile was still there, freelance designer, current projects. My current lease agreement was in my email. My actual parents, Susan and Robert, were still in Boston, as far as I could tell from discreet social media checks. It was like two parallel timelines were running simultaneously, and I was somehow stuck in the wrong one, or both at once. I felt like an imposter, living in a stranger's house, sleeping in a stranger's bed, next to a stranger who called me her husband. The ring on my finger felt like a heavy chain, binding me to a reality I didn't recognize. The only thing that kept me grounded was the continued presence of my old memories. Fragments of my previous life would flash through my mind, a specific line of code for a project, a conversation with David from weeks ago, the layout of my old, smaller apartment. These memories were clear, sharp, concrete, and they directly contradicted the life I was now living. One afternoon, Sophia was showing me a photo of our trip to Italy. Remember this, Michael, Venice. You were so excited about the gondola ride. I looked at the photo, the bridge, the canals. It triggered something, not a memory of the trip, but a memory of a documentary I had watched about Venice, months ago, in my apartment. I remembered David recommending it. David, I muttered. David Chen. He's an architect, right? And he loves jazz. Sophia looked at me, a flicker of hope in her eyes. Yes, he does. He's the one who took us to that little jazz club on our first date, remember? I didn't remember the date, but I remembered the jazz club. Not from a personal experience, but from a conversation with my David, the one who lived in LA, about cool spots in Chicago. It was like my mind was a bridge, carrying fragments of both realities. The more I focused on my old memories, the clearer they became. The more I tried to access the new ones, the more alien they felt. I started to suspect something wasn't right with the way I had crossed over. What if it wasn't amnesia? What if it was a literal jump, a complete transference from one reality to another? And if so, why? And how could I get back? I racked my brain, desperately trying to recall every detail of the night I lost 5 years. Liam's bar. David. The celebratory pints. What were we celebrating? I strained, but it was just a general sense of good news. I remembered leaving, walking home, the streetlights, the sound of a siren in the distance. And then, nothing, just waking up next to Sophia. But something else was there, a faint echo. A strange light, a momentary disorientation, a feeling like falling, right before I blacked out. It had felt like a sudden wave of dizziness, but now, it felt more like a transition. I remembered I had been walking past the old abandoned theater on Elm Street. It was scheduled for demolition next month. I always walked that way. It was a shortcut. I started researching unexplained phenomena, quantum entanglement, multiverses, anything that felt even remotely plausible. I found forums, online communities dedicated to people who claimed to have shifted realities. The stories were wild, unbelievable, but some details resonated. The sudden onset, the complete lack of a transition period, the intact memories of the old life, the reality of the new one. Many mentioned a trigger event, a sudden jolt, a strange light, a feeling of displacement. That feeling like falling, the strange light, the sudden blackout. It fit. Sophia was distraught, seeing me consumed by this internal battle. She still believed it was amnesia, or a strange mental break. She talked about therapists, about hypnotherapy. But I knew, deep down, it wasn't that. I was lucid, I was aware, I was just in the wrong place. The choice hung heavy over me. Do I try to get back to my old life, the one where I was single, freelance, without a dog, with David living in LA? Or do I try to embrace this new one, this life with Sophia, this woman who loved me, who was devoted to me, who believed in us, even if us was a blank slate to me? I looked at Sophia. She was preparing dinner, humming softly. The scent of garlic and tomatoes filled the air. She moved with an easy grace, completely at home in this apartment, in this life. She was real. Her love was real, and a part of me, the part that had been alone for so long in my previous life, felt a strange pull towards her, a longing for the connection she offered. I remembered the feeling of that wedding ring on my finger. It was still there, and the framed photo of us, smiling, on our wedding day. Her smile, so genuine, so full of love. This wasn't a punishment. This felt like an opportunity. A second chance, perhaps. A chance at a life I hadn't known I wanted. The logic part of my brain screamed for answers, for a way back. But the human part, the part that craved connection and belonging, felt a profound pull towards Sophia. I could try to chase a ghost, a past that might be irrevocably gone. Or I could build a future, here, with a woman who clearly cherished me. I walked over to Sophia, watching her stir a pot on the stove. She looked up, her green eyes questioning. I reached out, gently taking her hand, the gold band on my finger brushing against hers. For the first time since I woke up, the ring didn't feel like a foreign object. It felt right. Sophia, I said, her name feeling natural on my tongue. Tell me about our first date again. All the details. Her eyes widened, a slow smile spreading across her face. A genuine smile, filled with relief and a fragile hope. Really, she whispered. Really, I affirmed, squeezing her hand. Tell me everything. I want to remember. I didn't know if I'd ever truly recover those missing 5 years, or if I'd ever understand how I got here. The mystery remained, a silent, swirling enigma at the edge of my consciousness. But I was here now. And she was here. And maybe, just maybe, this was where I was meant to be all along. I woke up next to a stranger who claims we've been married for 5 years. And maybe, just maybe, she wasn't a stranger anymore.